Okay, the opinion polls tell us that a lot of people still don't know what the Lisbon Treaty thing is all about, and therefore don't know which way to vote in the referendum. So, in a nutshell, I'd just like to say what the Lisbon Treaty is all about. Well, first and foremost, it is the constitution that the French and the Dutch rejected a couple of years ago. A few little things have been changed, a few little things have been left out. Some of the things, such as the flag and the anthem, that are left out of the Lisbon Treaty are pretty much there anyway. So it's a constitution for Europe. But what does that mean? Well, it means that the EU, as you know it, will cease to exist and will be replaced by a new EU. And the wording of the amendment, if you look at the wording of the amendment, it shows that, because it says Ireland will be allowed to be a member of the union established by the Treaty of Lisbon. So what's this new EU going to be all about? Well, the new EU established by the Treaty of Lisbon will effectively be a country on the world stage, and Ireland will no longer be a sovereign nation, but will instead be a member state, or effectively a province of this new country called the European Union. So, well, what's wrong with that? Some people might say that's a good thing. Well, maybe it is. But one of the things to remember about that is that the government of the European Union is the EU Commission. Now, the EU Commission is not directly elected by the citizens. Well, you might say, well, what about the Council of Ministers? Well, for example, I live in Meath, so I didn't elect Brian Cowan to be on the Council of Ministers. I didn't elect Eamon O'Keefe to be on the Council of Ministers, and so on. I elected my own TD. My TD, together with other TDs, decided on who the Taoiseach would be. And in our general election, it was between Bertie Ahern and Enda Kenny, and we ended up with Brian Cowan. So, you know, even the Council of Ministers isn't directly elected. Now, those on the Council of Ministers, by and large, have some sort of local mandate, but it's not a mandate for their country. Normally, it's like they've been given a job in the government because of the strength of their party in the local parliament. Now, just to finish the point I was making earlier, so you have the EU Commission, which will be the government, but they're not elected by the people. Now, they're not just the government, they're also the lawmakers. They initiate any legislation. Now, the Parliament will be able to offer amendments, but there's no guarantee that any of those amendments would be acceptable. And from an Irish perspective, quite a lot of the things that the Parliament of this new country called the European Union, what that Parliament would want need not necessarily be what we would want. But even if it were, well, they can only offer amendments. They cannot actually force any legislation through. And the final legislating body is, what I said earlier on, is the Council of Ministers. Now, it's arguable whether or not they have a popular mandate. Definitely the Irish ministers have a popular mandate in their own specific area. So you could have a situation in a 5-seat constituency where, let's say 75% of the electorate are voting against the guy who ends up being Ireland's minister on the Council of Ministers. So there you go. So that's it. That's the Lisbon Treaty in a nutshell. It ends the European Union as you know it. It creates a new European Union. That European Union will be considered a country on the world stage. The countries which now make up the European Union will become provinces of the new union, and the government and legislature of that new union will have no popular mandate. If that's what you want, go for it. It's not what I want, and it's not what the peoples of Europe want. Apparently 70% of the peoples of Europe are against it, and that's why they're not being given a referendum. So if we vote this through, we'll be seen as the wimps of Europe. So, do you want to be a wimp or a hero? You choose. God bless. Bye.